So if you've ever been making a beat and then halfway through you just got aggravated and deleted it because nothing you were doing was working, it's not beat block, it's sound selection. If you've ever watched your favorite industry producer cook up live and it just seems like everything they do or add just works instantly, it's not just talent, it's a specifically learned skill. And today, I'm gonna teach you that skill. These are the things I don't see other people really touching on that I wish I knew when I first started out. Dude, it would have saved me so many just headaches and just hours of scrolling through random sounds. So yeah, let's dive into it. All right, so live instruments are the easiest to start with. Whether it's a violin, a piano, a guitar, you wanna look for a few different things. First off, you're looking for a sound that isn't too thin. You want a lot of room to play with. Like if it sounds like that right out of the box, it's a bad sound. You don't want something with an overly bright top end. Like some of these presets are not it. Like this one right here. You want as natural of a sound as possible. The real instruments, you want to find a sound that's not only dynamic with volume, meaning the harder you press on the note, it gets quieter, right? Not only do you want to find one that goes quieter, but you want to find one that has slightly different samples within the engine. So you see whenever I play that, it's not always the same exact sound. So every time you click the piano note, it'll play a slightly different variation of that note that was recorded. So look for sounds that are full, not too processed, pretty raw, and dynamic if using a live instrument. So let's build a simple pattern here. Let's work in D minor. Copy it over 2 more times. We're just going with simplicity for the sake of the tutorial. Switch up this end part right here. So now we can start adding effects. And one underrated trick for getting a nice ambient sound is messing with the timbre/format. This is a trick a lot of industry producers use. You see we have pitch and timbre right here. So you can either go up, and that's the actual pitch, but then you have the timbre. If you go down to here, the sound sounds deeper, but it's not, it's the same pitch. Is how you get that super like unique guitar tone. I did actually decide to pitch it down 3, but I moved the timbre down 6. Way more mellow, bro. Spend the most time on the main sound. If you don't get the main sound right, the rest of your track is gonna fall apart. Every sound that you choose, the technique that we're gonna use involves building off the previous sound. I'm just gonna take some low end out and then add a halftime. If you turn this band down, basically you're telling halftime to only add halftime to the bottom part, all these lower frequencies down here. And the higher frequencies are gonna remain untouched. Pull it back. Take even more lows out and add a reverb. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. Think of this guitar as like the subject in your painting. We need to finish the picture and paint a background. A beach, kind of mountains, some rolling grass hills. I don't fuck no, dude. I don't do this imagery shit. You get what I'm saying, right? When choosing a sound, you need to understand the concept of texture. If you have a main melody that takes up a very small frequency range, just like this guitar is very simple. It's very ambient. So you're going to want to choose a sound that is ambient also on the same level and has a similar texture. So this sound is very small. It's very narrow. So what we're going to do is take that, we're going to pitch it down. It's just a very simple thin pad to go in the low end. Let's find a little stack real quick, and we're looking for the same sort of texture. That would work. This is way too much top end. Okay, that right there. Perfect. Create a quick switch up. And generally, real sounds go with real sounds. Strings always work really well. There's a good go-to. All right, so we're gonna build chords at the same notes we use for the guitar. All right, and then we're gonna add the same riff here. And then it's gonna go silent right here. Copy that over. And then here we're gonna bring the root note down, add an E, and then go just like that. And then copy all that over. So you'll notice this violin sounds terrible. So we're gonna save this as MIDI. All right, and then we're gonna open up A Studio, man. They just came out with an AI violin, and hear me out. This thing is amazing. Obviously, since we wanna pick a very realistic sound, this is probably the best way to get it. Just click on the blank track, click set as AI instrument track, and then as you can see, automatically select the violin. Now we drag the MIDI in. Each individual line right here needs to be on its own layer, just for like the cleanest sound, because the way AI violins work. So let's do that real quick. All right, boom. So as you can see, everything has its own individual lines. That is beautiful, bro. It looks like they'll even come out with expression controls soon, but like that is super realistic, bro. So what we're gonna go do, go file, export audio, all individual tracks, and then export. Finally, I just pulled out one more accent right here, just with a similar texture like I explained earlier. Just a very thin sound, because for accents we do want a thin sound to kind of match the filtered guitar. Just found that in the melodies 𝕊𝕆𝔹𝕆. Okay, now the fun part. We're gonna fill out this low end with a nice thick 808. Picking the right 808 can be tough, but in general, you want to go with something that has the right sub to low mid balance. And hold on here, in relation to your previous sounds, right? Being the melody. So let's drag a random 808 in, right? So your subs can be over here and your low mids are going to be right here. The more full that your main melody sounds, the more of an aggressive 808 you're going to want. So this 808 is pretty aggressive, has lots of high frequencies. The problem is it's going to stick out a little too much in this melody. What you want to do is find something with a little bit less of that. So here's another example. This 808 has a little bit too much sub, so you wouldn't be able to really hear it through the melody. With ambient stuff, you generally want to find a good middle ground. So I found this one 808 called the 𝕊𝕊𝕆𝔶𝕆. It's like aggressive and in your face, but it's still calm. Sort of like interesting ambient sound to it, like all the other sounds that we used. So moving on to actual drums now. This sound right here, or this sound right here, that would work really well in a beat like this. At the same time, you still want a crispy clap. Yeah, so hi-hats are what get your head bobbing. The same rule of texture matching applies here. Way too bright. It's way too ambient. That sound right there is perfect, and it matches the same amount of high end that the clap has. It's still crisp, but not too distorted or too dirty. I'm going to keep it pretty simple for the sake of the tutorial. And another technique I like to do is find a shorter hi-hat, aka that one right there, and then layer it with a longer hi-hat, kind of like an acoustic hi-hat. And as you can see, every sound here has a very similar sound profile. They all have about the same amount of high end, the same amount of body, etc. Okay, so now we have the fundamentals down. Everything else we add from here in its own way is sort of an accent, in the same way that these are. Stuff like open hats, perks, random effects, counter snares, only there to make things sound more interesting, not take the spotlight. So when you choose these sounds, you want to choose something that's less in your face than the fundamental sounds you've already laid down. This open hat right here, that'd be way too experimental. It literally take the whole show, bro. This will work really well. Something like this will work really well. It almost sounds similar to the boom bap hat. That sound right there would also work really well. Ooh, that is clean right there. We could use that as a hit. Just a little bit in the background. You don't want it to take the show. You gotta add supporting little details. You go for some perks. Shakers will work. If we turn that down in the background, that'd be a nice touch. You know what would go really well with this? Some more live inspired sounds, like maybe some tribal sounding perk drums, you know what I mean? Stuff like this. Let's go with this for now. Let's add that right here and here. That's a nice little sound. It reminds me of some of the sounds on like Travis Scott and Cardi's songs. Same thing right here. I love the way this 808 hits already, so it doesn't really need a kick. But what we're going to do is add an accent kick. This is something I see a lot more people doing recently. Basically, you find like a kick with a little bit of texture in it. Something like that. Or something like that right there. That sounds really good. I feel like this matches the sound profile we got going on so far. It sounds like a stomp. And we're going to do something different here. So remember how the 808 gets quiet right around here? Boom, just like that. That's it. Matches the rhythm we got going too. Arrange everything. As you can see here, I added another natural sounding effect, riser 6, and then a knife. So now we got this. Let's arrange this a little bit. Copy this over. We're going to take out the violins here, add the violins in here, and then remove that. So we have like all our accents, and then we take the accents out to make room for the violins. Copy all this over again. Let's remove the open hats, so it's just the 808 and all the other sounds. Do the same thing with the violin, and then just be real simple. Boom, copy all that over. Delete all this. So that could be the outro. So the intro, the hook, the verse, pre-hook section, a hook, and then an outro. Super simple. That's crazy. Those perk sounds are great, bro. Everything flows. It's unique at the same time. Here's the violins. Oh, yeah. That all just flows, bro. And then there's the verse right here. Yeah, that's perfect. And there you have it. Cool ethnic trap beat from the ground up. Every sound has a purpose. Next time you open up FL, start messing around, pay more attention to the texture and just the overall feel you're trying to create. Make sure everything builds off the last sound. Recognizing textures and building sound profiles in your head is a skill that takes time to learn. So put your reps in and you'll be good to go. So yeah, peace.